I've been around the world and I've eaten at some of the best steakhouses there are. But the real question I've always asked myself is, can we make a steakhouse meal that is equal or better to some of those restaurants right on the coals? No grill grates, no cast iron skillet. We're cooking everything from the steak to the salad to the baked potato, all the way to some bread, caveman style, right on the coals. Let's get into it. First things first, I have some very hot charcoal that's sitting in my fire grill. I'm gonna dump that and then we can start working. I have some oak and hickory lump charcoal. If you're gonna do this recipe, highly recommend to use actual lump charcoal, or you're gonna break down real wood until it gets to that coal level. Charcoal is a lot easier and a lot faster. I'm using cowboy charcoal. Throw this into a charcoal chimney, like the one we have from fire here, and once it gets to that like whitish, reddish, ash looking color on top, drop her in. That's gonna be the start of our coal bed. I'm gonna just kind of spread it out so we have kind of an even cooking surface. Warning, do not do this with briquettes. Briquettes are amazing and they're an absolutely fantastic way of cooking with charcoal. But the thing is that briquettes are normally made with a binder. That's how you get that individual or kind of uniform shape. But that's not something that you want to cook your food on top of. You're more than welcome to cook them on your grill, in your smoker. I use my briquettes all the time in my master built. But when you're cooking on the coals, highly, highly, highly recommend using real wood lump. Explosion. I highly recommend using real lump charcoal just because you know that it's chemical free, it's safe, it's clean, and you just don't have to worry about any like additives, preservatives. This is my favorite brand. I've worked with Cowboy for like 8 years. I think their American lump charcoal is the best on the market. Oak and hickory has very clean, classic flavor. Once I've dropped the charcoal into my grill, I'm gonna add just a little bit on top because we have a little bit until we're cooking absolutely everything, and I wanna make sure that we have enough charcoal to cook through. First things first, the baked potato, because the baked potato is actually gonna take the longest to cook. I have a beautiful russet potato. I did poke this guy with a fork, just helps speed up some of the process. I'm gonna just roll this into some aluminum foil. I usually like to use 2, if not 3 sheets. It will probably get burnt. That's fine. It's a baked potato. So I have 3 sheets of aluminum foil. I'm gonna add the baked potato down. I have some high temp neutral oil. I'm gonna add that over the top. This is just gonna help try and increase that smoke point for the baked potato so that it doesn't completely get burnt. Roll it up, cover it completely. Kobe. And there you go. All right, now one thing I will say, you don't need to directly cook this on the coals the entire time. I have some of these empty sides over here for anything that I feel like might need a little less heat for a moment. I'm gonna let him roast for a couple of minutes, and while he's roasting, I'm gonna start working on the dough for the bread. Outdoor Boys is one of my favorite channels. It's a super fun and relaxing experience to watch those guys go out into the backwoods and cook some really cool food. But I really wanted to try out his coal roasted bread recipe. I heard it's very easy. I definitely was inspired by Max, and I just thought, let's see. I know that every major steakhouse is making some variation of bread that goes with their steak. So thought we might as well make it for this recipe. So apparently there are no exact measurements for this. You can kind of measure with your heart, which in my opinion is my favorite thing, because meat and baking do not mix. We're gonna add in flour enough until I think, yeah, that's probably enough. Just a little bit of sugar. I'm gonna make a hole in the middle for the yeast. So I have some warm water. We have our divot with the yeast. I'm just gonna add a little bit in there. We're just gonna mix this, get the yeast to wake up. Wakey, wakey. We've kind of let it sit for a second. Now we're gonna slowly add in some of this hot water and start mixing this together. I am not a baker. You can make fun of me all you want in the comments. This is not my expertise. I cook over fire. I don't bake, so be kind. Oh, baking, my arch nemesis. I'm doing this for you guys, not for me. All right, we're gonna transfer this over onto the cutting board and start working it. My experience with baking is I got this massive pizza oven thinking like, okay, the next thing I was gonna do, I'm gonna become a pizza maker. This is a fun theory that I've learned, is that like if people make entire restaurants based off a single ingredient, it's probably because it's hard and takes a lot of time and effort and energy to learn. Great example of this would be brisket. All right, I'm done. Drop it into the bowl or cover this up and let it rise for like forever. Okay, bye. I have a beautiful ribeye steak. Look at this boy. That looks like something you find at a steakhouse. So I'm gonna add some high smoke point neutral oil. Actually, fun fact, we just did a video that was talking about ribeye alternatives. You know, if ribeye is getting too expensive or you wanna try something new, you can make this recipe with one of those cuts. My cowboy butter rub, classic. It's a nice coating on the steak. All right, I'm gonna set this to the side. Also, just like make sure that you're rotating the baked potato back here. It's gonna take like an hour to actually cook the baked potato, so just tend to it as needed. So now let's start making some ranch dressing. This is my favorite way to make ranch dressing. There are a ton of different recipes out there, but honestly, this is the best one. All right, so we're gonna use the major 3 cream sauces. We have sour cream, measure with your heart, but more or less like 1/4 cup. We have mayonnaise or mayonnaise, probably a little bit more than 1/4 cup, but I have some freshly chopped dill. I have chopped parsley, some salt, pepper, garlic, and then the star of the show, buttermilk. So a lot of people don't add buttermilk to their ranch. In my personal opinion, that's crazy, but I usually add just as much buttermilk as you add in sour cream and mayonnaise, so it's like equal. Then we mix. In a past life, I was a bartender. I don't know why I have a fork out here. I brought one out. Should be creamy, thin. You can mix it up a little bit more so that sour cream is a little less clumpy. Simple ranch dressing. Let's move on. Okay, so the potato's been on for about 30-ish minutes, so we're about halfway through, maybe a little bit more than halfway through. So let's start cooking the steak. So it's gonna take a couple minutes to actually cook it, and then we're gonna let it rest for a little bit. Okay, so I have a hot bed of coals, and we have a little bit of ash sitting on top of the actual coals themselves. So I'm gonna blow that loose ash off just so it makes a clean coal, and then we're gonna add the steak on top. Right into y'all's camera. All right, let's drop her in. And there you go. Honestly, the coals like smoking is very much what we're looking for. I will say this, the fat is going to get a little charred, so there's nothing wrong with that. Don't worry about a little bit of char, but the meat itself is gonna be great. Gonna let that cook for probably 2 to 3 minutes per side. Smells good. This is actually one of the first things I ever learned how to cook. So I started the page like 8 or 9 years ago, and I still to this day am learning how to perfect this cook. But it's one of the first things I ever really wanted to learn how to cook, along with actually cold roasting. I used to cold roast bread a lot. I always thought it was so cool when I saw Francis Mallman show that he was like cooking like crepes and all kinds of stuff like right on the coals. It just blew my mind. So cool, so unique, so different. There's a lot of little tips that make this better though. Bringing your steak to room temperature is gonna help it cook better. If you have a really hot coal bed, a relatively room temperature steak is going to cook a lot more evenly. You're not gonna get as much burnt crispies. A couple of other things, the ash on the actual coals themselves, like I was saying, blowing that off helps a lot. Don't be afraid of burnt bits. It's just, you're cooking on the coals. This is not the traditional way of making a steak. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm just flipping it consistently. The outside spinalis is probably going to get a little bit charred more than anything else. Get a quality lump charcoal. Charcoal itself is not inherently bad for you. We do eat charcoal. It's added to our toothpaste. We're sitting at like 109 already. I'm just pulling off for a second to temp check. So it is better to cook something that's thin, probably 1 inch or less. However, I have cooked a whole tomahawk on the coals. We are looking pretty good. I'm gonna pull this guy off. It cooks really fast. Just like that, your steak is done. Oh, perfect. 114, 115. Let it rest for like 10 minutes or so. All right, now let's cook the bread. We have our bread that's been rising. You can see the bubbles. Look at this bad boy. Add a little bit of flour, get into this elongated mini naan kind of shape, and then we're just dropping it right on the coals. Get that naan kind of thicker than flat tortilla. That doesn't sound great. And drop it in. Already smells like it's burning. Got a little bit of char going on this guy. What's the weather looking like? Ooh, so big charcoal. And we're just slowly roasting it. So once it's good, I'm gonna pull it off, let it cool. Now let's start making the salad. I have this handy dandy grill basket that can cook right on the coals, so that's what we're gonna use this time. Blow off some of the ash, drop in our handy dandy grill basket, and then I have a bunch of romaine lettuce. I'm going to slice in half. All right, we're fighting the rain. It's coming. All right, we're gonna let that roast. I'm gonna pull off the baked potato and let's start plating up. Okay, got a nice little charred crust. Let's start making dinner. Let's check out the baked potato, see how crispy we got. Ooh, look at that, tender, coal roasted. We have our bread, pull it right in half, serve that bad boy up. Our baked potato, add in the bacon, a little bit of blue cheese, crispy onions, some shredded cheese. I have some honey mixed with butter. A little drizzle over our bread. And then last but certainly not least, we have a little ranch dressing to go over. Well, and we're back after a short weather intermission. As you can hear the thunder clouds and rain clouds out there. We can now finally test the food. Bam. Look at that, pretty steak. Wedge salad looks great, potatoes look great. I really just want to try this bread. It looks insane. Oh man, that's really good. And some steak. You know, cooking on the coals definitely has like this very pungent, smoky flavor, but still very good. Charred salad, that's so good. With the ranch, the blue cheese works perfectly. So, can you make a steakhouse dinner on the coals? The answer, yes. This is even better than I was expecting, and I cooked for a living over the fire. That bread's a winner. All in all, I give this a 10 out of 10. Is there a major benefit on cooking any of this on the coals? No, not necessarily, but it is fun and it's very unique. The spectacle is a lot of fun, and also it should show you that you don't necessarily need all of this gear in order to make really good food. You can be at the campsite, knead your dough and throw it right on the coals, and you're gonna have delicious coal roasted bread that is just as good as if you grilled it or baked it. All you need, charcoal, fire, and good meat. Go and check out my brand new rub cowboy candy. It would work really well in this melted butter and honey. Go and check out all my other rubs and seasonings. You can go and check out some of my favorite recipes at overthefirecooking.com. And as always, stay so freaking delicious. Cheers. Dude, these flies are getting out of hand. Tastes like baked potato. Bye.